last time I remember doing this exact kind of video concept, I ended up utilizing public domain parody characters of the Fantastic Four, but I do believe that a commenter at the time did say how it was cheating. So instead, we're gonna basically create characters of our own, relatively, kind of. Anyways, ayo and hello everybody, it's me, your weird Uncle Lee, and in today's video, if you couldn't tell from what we're gonna do, we're gonna be creating our very own rendition of the Fantastic Four, of course, not utilizing characters from the public domain. We're actually gonna come up with some characters, try to come up with different names, and of course, see if we're gonna have a little bit of fun with this. So, I think y'all heard enough of me talking, so how about we get dry? Ultra value, Fantastic Four, let's go! So, of course, if you're going to have a super team that goes by the name of the Fantastic Four, you got to create a team that's basically one-upping them to some extent, and one-upping them I am indeed. And my team that I'm creating is simply called the Victorious Five. Yes, I know that the Fantastic Four at some point actually had, a fifth member here and there, and they actually had the number 5 as a logo. But in my rendition, they are 5 members from the get-go. And not only that, if they're going to have a leader or someone who's going to be the brains of the operation to lead the team to success on space adventures and fighting crime to some extent, then you're going to need a leader in the form of Mr. Victorious, who is essentially our Hispanic-coded, Mr. Fantastic. And honestly, I really love the overall way I did this design, and the overall coloring of the suit was also very interesting. I went from orange and black to then eventually purple and black, only then to invert it to then creating a lime green with white. It weirdly worked, and I very much enjoyed the way that the design came out overall. So other than that, what do you guys think of my rendition of this Mr. Fantastic, aka Mr. Victorious? But if you're going to have a team that involves a Mr. Fantastic, you need to give him an invisible woman so he can stretch his arm forward and grab close by. And well, that comes into the form of my rendition of Invisible Woman that I call Vanish. First of all, I love the name as it is, and not only that, you can still kind of play up the idea of like Vanish and Victorious, both of them starting with the letter V, which is also the Roman numeral for number 5. I thought that was a bit of a unique concept here. So in this situation, I made my Mr. Fantastic Hispanic, and to really just kind of throw a left curveball out there, I decided to make my rendition of the Invisible Woman a Korean woman, because you know what? Why not? I don't see many other characters of this kind of caliber, at least not that I am aware of. So, I mean, hey, you know what? Might as well put something out there in the wind. But I love this overall design. I love the character concept in general. And actually getting to show her powers is actually a really interesting, concept overall. And getting to see it, positioned out was a lot of fun putting this whole thing together. But other than that, I'm going to be gushing on for way too long. What do you guys think of my rendition of the Invisible Woman that I call Vanish? Got our Mr. Fantastic, we got our Invisible Woman, and like an Invisible Woman, she got herself a brother in the form of the Human Torch. But what if I ended up creating a character of my own that's just simply called the Flamin' Scorch, or just Scorch, because that sounds awesome to my opinion that nobody asked for. Anyways, so obviously when it came down to the design of the character, I was thinking obviously like a hot shot, but what if it was actually the inverse? What if in his situation, he's not really, say, a hot-headed guy? What if he was actually level-headed, cool, calm, and collected? And his fire powers are actually supposed to be the opposite of, like, his personality. So now he needs to learn to be more out there, a bit more blazing, a bit more hot, if you will. But anyways, outside of that, same costume, same situation, but I wanted to make the fire a different color because it turns out blue is actually the hottest color, especially for stars and fire to that extent. But other than that, what do you guys think of my rendition of, well, the Human Torch that I simply call Scorch? So what if my Mr. Fantastic, aka Mr. Victorious, actually had 2 other siblings, and one of them was actually on this strange event that ended up getting powers, and what if it turns out she had a fiery personality, but the cosmos of the universe said, you need to cool down, and you more or less have, well, Frosty over here. Frosty is actually a really unique character because it was a somewhat more of an original concept. So, and also this is the additional 5th member for this team. So of course I wanted to just draw like a, not standard run of the mill, but of course, a Latina individual who happens to have ice related powers. Drawing ice powers is a little bit hard for me to some extent, unless, I see them in action. But other than that, I love the way that, I was able to kind of emulate her fiery and determined personality, but, again, having to use ice-related powers. So what do you guys think of my rendition of this newer character of Frosty, the 5th member for this, well, pseudo-Fantastic Four? And you might be wondering, where's the thing? We'll get there. And now we have my interpretation of the Thing in the form of Golem. Now, it turns out a golem is actually a creature of Jewish folklore. I actually didn't realize that, and it's pretty funny because to some extent, the Thing in Marvel Comics is canonically a Jewish man. So it's like somehow it has some strange, unique Jewish ties. I think that's just a really interesting tidbit. But other than that, my rendition of the Thing, or at least aka Golem over here, I actually decided to make his skin something similar to that of like cobblestone or like gray rock-like texture. And there's like an underlying hint of green, kind of representing like mossy kind of a texture or something like that. But in this rendition, this is actually Mr. Victorious' 2nd sibling, who is probably a lot more of a softer and a kinder individual, but needs to learn to rough up and to be a little bit more harder or more, rocky, or basically he needs to gain thicker skin. But other than that, I really love the way that I designed this character. But what do you guys think of my rendition of the Thing that I call the Golem? And of course, if you're going to have yourself the whole team of something similar to that of Fantastic Four, they're going to need to have their most intimidating villain yet. One of such spite, one of such intensified pettiness that literally the Yellow Flash would have to be taking notes on how to be this petty. That's right, we're creating our very own interpretation of Doctor Doom that I call Dr. Ruins. Now, for me, I always find it funny how, like, in the actual comic books, Dr. Doom is named Victor Von Doom, and they don't really give off, like, a more funnier explanation as to why his name is Von Doom. So in my rendition of this, pseudo, Dr. Doom, I actually called him Dr. Ruins. And Ruins could actually be a name that could, be logically spelled out in a different way to where it's like, okay, that's a feasible name. And of course, Doom, Ruins, kind of goes hand in hand. And of course, his overall suit was inspired by Knight's attires, a little bit by Goblin Slayer too. So I actually wanted to dive into the idea of going more with a knight-like aesthetic and actually giving him the look of him being like a noble kind of a individual. But in reality, he's just cruel and just overall petty over the many victories, if you will, that the Victorious Five has always accomplished, especially by their leader, Mr. Victorious. But other than that, I will be gushing on way too long about this design. What do you guys think of my rendition of Dr. Doom that I simply call Dr. Ruins? And there we go. We have our official designs for our Pseudo Fantastic Four, and Doctor Doom. What do you guys think of these renditions of the characters? Do you guys like the suit designs? Do you think I should have stuck with the purple and black? Do you guys think I should have done the black and orange? Let me know in the comments down below. Not only that, but I know what you're thinking. Wait, where's the cool cover art? Where's the awesome story that would be paired up with this amazing team? Unfortunately, I didn't get to it. And simply because of the fact that, well, this was actually not the first option for this week. I was actually going to follow up on creating my public domain rendition of Batman, but I really wanted to get this whole team out there simply because I saw the Fantastic Four movie, and with the pun intended, the movie really was fantastic. And not only that, I think this is a very fitting kind of thing to make for today and whatnot. And if you guys want me to tell a story and, of course, give off a fun cover art piece and whatnot, let me know in the comments down below so that, you know, I can kind of get that feedback, because I would love to make that video, but only if you guys would like for that to happen. But anyways, other than that, I love the way that these characters came out. Let me know what you guys think. But of course, like all good things, they unfortunately have to come to an end. So how about I end the video here? Anyways, to my fellow weirdos out there, make sure to follow these 3 simple rules. Stay awesome, stay weird, and keep life to the easiest. Always remember that art inspires all, but you can inspire more. And never forget to stay ultra. Okay, Fantastic Four video down. I really wish I knew that cover art piece, but I mean, hey, you can only do so much all at once. You know what I mean? Anyways, well, seeing how I basically made my own Marvel universe and whatnot, or starting it off with the Fantastic Four, of course we need to have a friendly neighborhood wall crawler to an extent. I think I know how we can get it done. Oh, man, okay. I'm beat. I got it. Let's just hope people are ready for a new rendition of this character.